Good evening. We are in the Jacob story, and he is leaving the land of his ancestors. He's leaving with his two wives, Leah and Rachel, all their children, all their livestock, possessions, and Laban had been chasing after them. He was angry because Jacob was his hardest worker. Jacob was the one who increased not only Jacob's flocks, but Laban's flocks. Laban grew rich because of Jacob. And so he lost his best worker. And so in this next exchange, you hear Laban doing everything to make himself look good. Everything is kind of twisted that he thought of it first. He's the better man of the two. And so we're starting off in Genesis chapter 31, verse 44. Come now, let us make a covenant, you and I, and let it be a witness between you and me. So Jacob took a stone and set it up as a pillar. And Jacob said to his kinsmen, gather stones. And they took stones and made a heap, and they ate there by the heap. Laban called it Jegar Sahadutha, but Jacob called it Gilead. Now, both of those two names mean heap of witness. Laban probably used Syriac or Aramaic language and had this huge long name, Jegar Sahadutha, and Jacob went with Hebrew and called it Gilead. I get tickled to thinking of the sign for both of those. Hey, let's just call it Gilead. Now, both of them are establishing this covenant, but you'll hear kind of a difference in who builds it. Jacob takes the stones and leads the construction, but you'll hear how that's kind of twisted around. Laban said, this heap is a witness between you and me today. Therefore, he named it Gilead, and the pillar Mizpah, for he said, the Lord watch between you and me when we are absent one from the other. If you ill-treat my daughters, or if you take wives beside my daughters, although no man is with us, remember, God is witness between you and me. Now, I find this interesting because all of a sudden Laban is showing all this concern for his daughters. Well, where was that concern when he tricked Jacob into marrying both of them, and then he cheated both of his daughters out of their dowries, which they were entitled to? Then Laban said to Jacob, see this heap and the pillar, which I have set between you and me? This heap is a witness, and the pillar is a witness, that I will not pass over this heap to you, and you will not pass over this heap and this pillar to me for harm. The God of Abraham and the God of Nahor and the God of their father judge between us. So Jacob swore by the fear of his father Isaac. And Jacob offered a sacrifice on the mountain and called his kinsmen to eat bread, and they ate bread and tarried all night on the mountain. Early in the morning, Laban arose and kissed his grandchildren and his daughters and blessed them. Then he departed and returned home. Now think of the covenants that we've read about throughout Genesis. They've been these covenants between God and God's people, and they've been a promise of blessing, a promise of relationship. Here, a covenant established between Jacob and Laban is a peace treaty to avert war. That's how much tension was between them. They weren't establishing a covenant to stay in contact with each other. They were establishing a contract that they wouldn't go to battle against each other. And when they said, we've put up this heap and this pillar of stone so that I won't cross over it for harm to you, and you won't cross over for harm to me, they were basically saying, these are the boundary lines. We won't cross them, and we won't go to war against each other. Our possessions will be safe from each other. When Laban kissed his daughters and his grandchildren goodbye, it was for the last time. What a sad ending to this chapter of the story, that they couldn't have the reconciliation to allow for some sort of relationship. It's a sad commentary on not trying hard enough to make the family bonds strong. Continuing on with Genesis chapter 32, verse 1. Jacob went on his way, and the angels of God met him. And when Jacob saw them, he said, "This is God's army." So he called the name of that place Mahanaim. And Jacob sent messengers before him to Esau his brother in the land of Seir, the country of Edom, instructing them, "Thus you shall say to my lord Esau, thus says your servant Jacob, I have sojourned with Laban and stayed until now. And I have oxen, asses, flocks, men servants and maidservants, and I have sent to tell my lord in order that I may find favor in your sight." And the messengers returned to Jacob, saying, "We came to your brother Esau, and he is coming to meet you, 400 men with him." Now, remember what happened. Jacob had tricked Esau twice. He cheated him out of his birthright, his inheritance, and also tricked him out of the family blessing. Esau had become so angry when that had happened, he vowed to kill Jacob just as soon as their father passed away. And so Jacob escaped and ran off to the family's kind of homeland where their ancestors were from, not only to find a wife, but to escape Esau's anger. Now, when he hears that Esau is coming to meet him with 400 men, what do you think is running through his mind? Esau is coming with an army, and so he must have been frightened. Then Jacob was greatly afraid and distressed, and he divided the people that were with him, and the flocks and the herds and the camels into 2 companies, thinking, if Esau comes to the one company and destroys it, then the company which is left will escape. And Jacob said, "O God of my father Abraham and God of my father Isaac, O Lord, who didst say to me, return to your country and to your kindred, and I will do you good. I am not worthy of the least of all the steadfast love and all the faithfulness which thou hast shown to thy servant. For with only my staff I crossed this Jordan, and now I have become 2 companies. Deliver me, I pray thee, from the hand of my brother, from the hand of Esau, for I fear him, lest he come and slay us all, the mothers with the children. But thou didst say, I will do you good, and make your descendants as the sand of the sea, which cannot be numbered for multitude." Now, this is classic Jacob. He offers up this beautiful, heartfelt prayer to God about his fear of meeting up with Esau. But he never takes responsibility for what he did wrong. Instead, he kind of lays it at the feet of God. He says, "Oh God, you told me to return home, and you promised that you would do only good for me. And you said you would make the descendants as a multitude that couldn't be counted, but Esau is coming to slay us and kill the mothers and children. In other words, how can you fulfill your promise, God, if Esau kills my wives and my children? All the descendants would be gone." So he lodged there that night and took from what he had with him a present for his brother Esau, 200 she-goats and 20 he-goats, 200 ewes and 20 rams, 30 milch camels and their colts, 40 cows and 10 bulls, 20 she-asses and 10 he-asses. Milch camels, I had to look this up, are camels that are kept for production of milk, like milk cows, we would call them. Milch means that you're holding that animal, that purpose of the animal is for milk. These he delivered into the hands of his servants, every drove by itself, and said to his servants, "Pass on before me, and put a space between drove and drove." He instructed the foremost, "When Esau my brother meets you and asks you, 'To whom do you belong? Where are you going? And whose are these before you?' Then you shall say, 'They belong to your servant Jacob. They are a present sent to my lord Esau, and moreover, he is behind us.'" Now, remember the family blessing that Jacob tricked Isaac into pronouncing upon himself instead of Esau? That family blessing was that Esau would serve Jacob. And yet, in this return, Jacob makes clear several times to have his messengers tell Esau, "Behold, your servant Jacob comes." Your servant Jacob. And he addresses Esau as "my lord." And so I think he's trying to not only appease Esau's anger, but trying to reverse some of the damage he had originally done. Continuing on, Genesis chapter 32, verse 19. He likewise instructed the second and the third and all who followed the droves, "You shall say the same thing to Esau when you meet him. And you shall say, 'Moreover, your servant Jacob is behind us.' For he thought, 'I may appease him with the present that goes before me, and afterwards I shall see his face. Perhaps he will accept me.' So the present passed on before him, and he himself lodged that night in the camp. The same night he arose and took his 2 wives, his 2 maids, and his 11 children, and crossed the ford of the Jabbok. He took them and sent them across the stream, and likewise everything he had." He had sent a very generous gift on before everyone else to his estranged brother Esau. Then he divided up his possessions and his families into 2 caravans. Now, that was fairly easy for him to do since he had 2 wives. He divided his family into 2 sections. Now, the idea of sending the women and the children first could be seen in a couple different ways. First, it can be seen as cowardly to put women and children between him and his brother, the brother who wanted to kill them. He could be seen as using them as a shield. But another way to look at it is that he was being really kind of smart in using the women and children to continue to soften Esau's heart before the 2 men met. And Jacob was left alone, and a man wrestled with him until the breaking of the day. When the man saw that he did not prevail against Jacob, he touched the hollow of his thigh, and Jacob's thigh was put out of joint as he wrestled with him. Then he said, "Let me go, for the day is breaking." But Jacob said, "I will not let you go unless you bless me." And he said to him, "What is your name?" And he said, "Jacob." Then he said, "Your name shall no more be called Jacob, but Israel, for you have striven with God and with men and have prevailed." Then Jacob asked him, "Tell me, I pray, your name." But he said, "Why is it that you ask my name?" And there he blessed him. So Jacob called the name of the place Peniel, saying, "For I have seen God face to face, and yet my life is preserved." The sun rose upon him as he passed Peniel, limping because of his thigh. Therefore, to this day, the Israelites do not eat the sinew of the hip which is upon the hollow of the thigh, because he touched the hollow of Jacob's thigh on the sinew of the hip. So here's this strange passage of Jacob wrestling all through the night with a man that is later revealed to be the presence of God. Now, in the end, it's said that Jacob prevailed. Now, think of that for a moment. Jacob was the winner in a wrestling match with God. Does that make any sense? No, it doesn't in the traditional way we think of a contest. I admit I am very competitive. And to me, winning means beating everyone else. It took me years to really perceive a different kind of idea behind this passage. Now, it's saying that Jacob won in the wrestling match with God, but Jacob's greatest adversary in life was always Jacob. He was at battle for how he treated others and in his relationship with God. Think of all the things that Jacob had done. And at this point, he was preparing to meet Esau. Perhaps he was wrestling for how he would meet and face his brother. Maybe he was fearful. Maybe he was feeling guilty. He wrestled with those kind of feelings all night. But there's another way to kind of apply the scripture to our lives. We might not have physically wrestled with God, but probably all of us have had spiritual and theological questions we've wrestled with. Questions like, is God real? Doubts that we've had in our faith. And sometimes we've had times that we've been angry or upset with God where we've cried out, why me? Why did you let that happen? Where were you? Now, I think those are times that we are wrestling with who God is and we're wrestling with what God means in our lives. And I think anytime that happens, as in this scripture, when we wrestle with God, we win. Continue with Genesis 33, verse 1. And Jacob lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, Esau was coming, and 400 men with him. So he divided the children among Leah and Rachel and the two maids. And he put the maids with their children in front, then Leah with her children, and Rachel and Joseph last of all. He himself went on before them, bowing himself to the ground 7 times, until he came near to his brother. But Esau ran to meet him and embraced him and fell on his neck and kissed him, and they wept. Now, Jacob bowed down to his brother to show humility. But how beautiful is it that Esau ran to Jacob and embraced him, weeping, and showing this beautiful reconciliation. And when Esau raised his eyes and saw the women and children, he said, "Who are these with you?" Jacob said, "The children whom God has graciously given your servant." Then the maids drew near, they and their children, and bowed down. Leah likewise and her children drew near and bowed down. And last, Joseph and Rachel drew near, and they bowed down. Esau said, "What do you mean by all this company which I met?" Jacob answered, "To find favor in the sight of my Lord." But Esau said, "I have enough, my brother. Keep what you have for yourself." Jacob said, "No, I pray you. If I have found favor in your sight, then accept my present from my hand. For truly to see your face is like seeing the face of God. With such favor have you received me." Now, Esau ran to Jacob before understanding what that original gift of all the animals was about. He asked him, "What is this for?" Well, Jacob had sent all of those animals to appease his brother Esau, to kind of win over his favor. Well, Esau gave his favor, his forgiveness to Jacob without the gift. And so the gift truly became just that, a gift done in gratitude for Esau's reaction and reconciliation, and in honor of God. "Accept, I pray you, my gift that is brought to you. because God has dealt graciously with me, and because I have enough." Thus he urged him, and he took it. Then Esau said, "Let us journey on our way, and I will go before you." But Jacob said to him, "My Lord knows that the children are frail, and that the flocks and herds giving suck are a care to me. And if they are overdriven for one day, all the flocks will die. Let my Lord pass on before his servant, and I will lead on slowly, according to the pace of the cattle which are before me, and according to the pace of the children, until I come to my Lord in Seir." So Esau said, "Let me leave with you some of the men who are with me." But he said, "What need is there? Let me find favor in the sight of my Lord." So Esau returned that day on his way to Seir. But Jacob journeyed to Succoth and built himself a house and made booths for his cattle. Therefore, the name of the place is called Succoth. Now, Jacob and Esau were reconciled, but they would not live in the same area together. We'll discover later on that their possessions, their livestock, were too great for any one area to support all of them at one time. So they would separate. Jacob would return to Canaan to fulfill the promise of God. Continuing on with Genesis chapter 33, verse 18. And Jacob came safely to the city of Shechem, which is in the land of Canaan, on his way from Padan Aram, and he camped before the city. And from the sons of Hamor, Shechem's father, he bought for 100 pieces of money the piece of land on which he had pitched his tent. There he erected an altar and called it El Elohe Israel. Now Dinah, the daughter of Leah, whom she had borne to Jacob, went out to visit the women of the land. And when Shechem, the son of Hamor the Hivite, the prince of the land, saw her, he seized her and lay with her and humbled her. And his soul was drawn to Dinah, the daughter of Jacob. He loved the maiden and spoke tenderly to her. So Shechem spoke to his father Hamor, saying, "Get me this maiden for my wife." Now Jacob heard that he had defiled his daughter Dinah, but his sons were with his cattle in the field. So Jacob held his peace until they came. And Hamor, the father of Shechem, went out to Jacob to speak with him. The sons of Jacob came in from the field when they heard of it, and the men were indignant and very angry, because he had wrought folly in Israel by lying with Jacob's daughter, for such a thing ought not to be done. But Hamor spoke with them, saying, "The soul of my son Shechem longs for your daughter. I pray you, give her to him in marriage. Make marriages with us. Give your daughters to us, and take our daughters for yourselves. You shall dwell with us, and the land shall be open to you. Dwell and trade in it, and get property in it." Shechem also said to her father and to her brothers, "Let me find favor in your eyes, and whatever you say to me I will give. Ask of me ever so much as marriage present and gift, and I will give you according as you say to me. Only give me the maiden to be my wife." The sons of Jacob answered Shechem and his father Hamor deceitfully, because he had defiled their sister Dinah. They said to him, "We cannot do this thing, to give our sister to one who is uncircumcised, for that would be a disgrace to us. Only on this condition will we consent to you, that you will become as we are, and every male of you be circumcised. Then we will give our daughters to you, and we will take your daughters to ourselves, and we will dwell with you and become one people. But if you will not listen to us and be circumcised, then we will take our daughter and we will be gone." Their words pleased Hamor and Hamor's son Shechem. And the young man did not delay to do the thing, because he had delight in Jacob's daughter. Now he was the most honored of all his family. So Hamor and his son Shechem came to the gate of their city and spoke to the men of their city, saying, "These men are friendly with us. Let them dwell in the land and trade in it, for behold, The land is large enough for them. Let us take their daughters in marriage, and let us give them our daughters. Only on this condition will the men agree to dwell with us, to become one people, that every male among us be circumcised, as they are circumcised. Will not their cattle, their property, and all their beasts be ours? Only let us agree with them, and they will dwell with us. And all who went out to the gate of the city hearkened to Hamor and his son Shechem, and every male was circumcised, and all who went out of the gate of the city. On the third day, when they were sore, 2 of the sons of Jacob, Simeon and Levi, Dinah's brothers, took their swords and came upon the city unawares, and killed all the males. They slew Hamor and his son Shechem with the sword, and took Dinah out of Shechem's house and went away. Now the fact that Dinah was living in the household of Shechem alludes to the fact that she had, her heart had turned tender toward him, either because she really had grown fond of him, or because she looked favorably upon him as a husband, because of the laws at that time, that if a virgin was raped, that the man who had assaulted her would take her to be his wife and reimburse the family and to treat her well and take care of her. Now, of course, I'm glad we don't have that law anymore. But in this case, the word that's used for what Shechem did to Dinah, he assaulted her, is the very same word of the brothers taking Dinah out of his household. Now, they didn't rape their sister. They removed her without her consent. So in both of these situations, Dinah was assaulted by force in a way that she did not consent to. And the sons of Jacob came upon the slain and plundered the city, because their sister had been defiled. They took their flocks and their herds, their asses, and whatever was in the city and in the field, all their wealth, all their little ones and their wives, all that was in the houses, they captured and made their prey. Then Jacob said to Simeon and Levi, "You have brought trouble on me by making me odious to the inhabitants of the land, the Canaanites and the Perizzites. My numbers are few, and if they gather themselves against me and attack me, I shall be destroyed, both I and my household." But they said, "Should he treat our sister as a harlot?" What a sad, sad story. The people of the city of Shechem seemed to show every hospitality to Jacob, Israel, and his family. Dinah had been friendly with the women of the city. Perhaps she even knew Shechem. Now, whatever transpired, he wanted to make her his wife, and she wanted to be with him. His father, Hamor, sought reconciliation. He wanted to make things right. He went to Jacob to establish something. He knew that it was wrong, what his son had done. He was trying to bring about peace for all of them, and it seems to be very genuine. Now, it was the sons of Jacob that twisted the symbolism of covenant, the rite of circumcision, and put that upon the people of the city of Shechem, and the men all agreed to do that. Well, when they were recovering from that, Jacob's sons went in and killed them all and plundered the city. What would have happened if they had sought peace, if they had tried to reconcile? Continuing on, Genesis chapter 35, verse 1. God said to Jacob, "Arise, go up to Bethel and dwell there, and make there an altar to the God who appeared to you when you fled from your brother Esau." So Jacob said to his household and to all who were with him, Put away the foreign gods that are among you, and purify yourselves, and change your garments. Then let us arise and go up to Bethel, that I may make there an altar to the God who answered me in the day of my distress, and has been with me wherever I have gone." So they gave to Jacob all the foreign gods they had, and all the rings that were in their ears, and Jacob hid them under the oak which was near Shechem. Now, remember that Jacob's sons had slaughtered all the men of the city of Shechem and taken their wives, their women, and their children, many of whom would have brought their idols with them. And remember back to Jacob's wife, Rachel, she stole the household gods, the idols of her father Laban. Perhaps she still had them. Well, Jacob, also known as Israel, wants to make this clean break and begin again. And so he calls all of them to offer up their household gods, their idols. But he also has them give their earrings, which were probably made of gold, maybe silver. He takes the rings that were in their ears so that they wouldn't be tempted to melt down those metals to create replacement idols. And as they journeyed, a terror from God fell upon the cities that were round about them, so that they did not pursue the sons of Jacob. And Jacob came to Luz, that is Bethel, which is in the land of Canaan, he and all the people who were with him. And there he built an altar and called the place El Bethel, because there God had revealed himself to him when he fled from his brother. Now, Bethel is Hebrew for the house of God. Beit in Hebrew means house, and El means God. And so El Bethel means God of the house of God. And Deborah, Rebekah's nurse, died, and she was buried under an oak below Bethel. So the name of it was called Elon Bakuth. God appeared to Jacob again when he came from Padan Aram and blessed him. And God said to him, "Your name is Jacob. No longer shall your name be called Jacob, but Israel shall be your name." So his name was called Israel. And God said to him, "I am God Almighty. Be fruitful and multiply. A nation and a company of nations shall come from you, and kings shall spring from you. The land which I gave to Abraham and Isaac I will give to you, and I will give the land to your descendants after you." Then God went up from him in the place where he had spoken with him. And Jacob set a pillar in the place where he had spoken with him, a pillar of stone. And he poured out a drink offering on it and poured oil on it. So Jacob called the name of the place where God had spoken with him Bethel. Then they journeyed from Bethel, and when they were still some distance from Ephrath, Rachel travailed, and she had hard labor. And when she was in her hard labor, the midwife said to her, "Fear not, for now you will have another son." And as her soul was departing, for she died, she called his name Ben-Oni, but his father called his name Benjamin. Now, Ben-Oni is Hebrew for son of my sorrow. Ben means son. But thankfully, Jacob, Israel, didn't want his son to be caught up and burdened with the name that talked about suffering in the past, son of my sorrow. So he changed his name to Benjamin, son of my right hand, or son of my strength. So Rachel died, and she was buried on the way to Ephrath, that is, Bethlehem. And Jacob set up a pillar upon her grave. It is the pillar of Rachel's tomb, which is there to this day. Israel journeyed on and pitched his tent beyond the tower of Ader. Now, you'll see that Jacob's name was changed to Israel, but you'll see it used back and forth. Jacob and Israel are both used. And sometimes the connection you see is that Jacob, the word Jacob is used when it's talking about a connection with his immediate family, and Israel is used when it's kind of the bigger picture, when it's talking about the people of God. Continuing to Genesis chapter 35, while Israel dwelt in that land, Reuben went and lay with Bilhah, his father's concubine, and Israel heard of it. Now the sons of Jacob were 12. Now, Reuben sleeping with his father's concubine was a terrible transgression. But Jacob, Israel, didn't seem to do anything about it, even though he knew about that problem. Continuing on in verse 23. The sons of Leah, Reuben, Jacob's firstborn, Simeon, Levi, Judah, Issachar, and Zebulun. The sons of Rachel, Joseph and Benjamin. The sons of Bilhah, Rachel's maid, Dan and Naphtali. The sons of Zilpah, Leah's maid, Gad and Asher. These were the sons of Jacob who were born to him in Padan Aram. And Jacob came to his father Isaac at Mamre, or Kiriath Arba, that is Hebron, where Abraham and Isaac had sojourned. Now the days of Isaac were 180 years, and Isaac breathed his last, and he died and was gathered to his people, old and full of days, and his sons Esau and Jacob buried him. Now, that was the genealogy of Jacob, Israel. And so we're going to continue on into Genesis chapter 6 with the genealogy of Esau. These are the descendants of Esau, that is, Edom. Esau took his wives from the Canaanites, Adah, the daughter of Elon the Hittite, Oholibamah, the daughter of Anah, the son of Zibeon the Hivite, and Basemath, Ishmael's daughter, the sister of Nebaioth. And Adah bore to Esau Eliphaz, Basemath bore Reuel, and Oholibamah bore Jeush, Jalam, and Korah. These are the sons of Esau who were born to him in the land of Canaan. Then Esau took his wives, his sons, his daughters, and all the members of his household, his cattle, all his beasts, and all his property which he had acquired in the land of Canaan. And he went into a land far away from his brother Jacob, for their possessions were too great for them to dwell together. The land of their sojournings could not support them because of their cattle. Now this is reminiscent of what happened between Abraham and his nephew Lot, that the land could not support all of their livestock in one place. And so they parted ways. And so Esau and Jacob face the same problem. Both of them have so much livestock, so many possessions, that the land cannot support them both in one location. And so they too part ways. So Esau dwelt in the hill country of Seir. Esau is Edom. These are the descendants of Esau, the father of the Edomites, in the hill country of Seir. These are the names of Esau's sons: Eliphaz, the son of Adah, the wife of Esau; Reuel, the son of Basemath, the wife of Esau. The sons of Eliphaz were Teman, Omar, Zepho, Gatam, and Kenaz. Timnah was a concubine of Eliphaz, Esau's son. She bore Amalek to Eliphaz. These are the sons of Adah, Esau's wife. These are the sons of Reuel: Nahath, Zerah, Shammah, and Mizah. These are the sons of Basemath, Esau's wife. These are the sons of Oholibamah, the daughter of Anah, the son of Zibeon, Esau's wife. She bore to Esau Jeush, Jalam, and Korah. These are the chiefs of the sons of Esau. The sons of Eliphaz, the firstborn of Esau, the chiefs Teman, Omar, Zepho, Kenaz, Korah, Gatam, and Amalek. These are the chiefs of Eliphaz in the land of Edom. They are the sons of Adah. These are the sons of Reuel, Esau's son. the chiefs Nahath, Zerah, Shammah, and Mizah. These are the chiefs of Reuel in the land of Edom. They are the sons of Basemath, Esau's wife. These are the sons of Oholibamah, Esau's wife, the chiefs Jeush, Jalam, and Korah. These are the chiefs born of Oholibamah, the daughter of Anah, Esau's wife. These are the sons of Esau, that is Edom, and these are their chiefs. These are the sons of Seir the Horite, the inhabitants of the land, Lotan, Shobal, Zibeon, Anah, Dishan, Ezer, and Dishan. These are the chiefs of the Horites, the sons of Seir in the land of Edom. The sons of Lotan were Hori and Heman, and Lotan's sister was Timnah. These are the sons of Shobal, Alvan, Manahath, Ebal, Shepho, and Onam. These are the sons of Zibeon, Aya, and Anah. He is the Anah who found the hot springs in the wilderness as he pastured the asses of Zibeon his father. These are the children of Anah, Dishan, and Oholibamah, the daughter of Anah. These are the sons of Dishan, Hemdan, Ashban, Ithran, and Cheran. These are the sons of Ezer, Bilhan, and Zaavan, and Akan. These are the sons of Dishan, Uz, and Aran. These are the chiefs of the Horites, the chiefs Lotan, Shobal, Zibeon, Anah, Dishan, Ezer, and Dishan. These are the chiefs of the Horites according to their clans in the land of Seir. These are the kings who reigned in the land of Eden before any king reigned over the Israelites. Bela, the son of Beor, reigned in Edom, the name of his city being Dinhabah. Bela died, and Jobab, the son of Zerah of Basra, reigned in his stead. Jobab died, and Husham of the land of the Temanites reigned in his stead. Husham died, and Hadad, the son of Bedad, who defeated Midian in the country of Moab, reigned in his stead, the name of his city being Avith. Hadad died, and Samlah of Masakah reigned in his stead. Samlah died, and Shaul of Rehoboth on the Euphrates reigned in his stead. Shaul died, and Baal-Hanan, the son of Achbor, reigned in his stead. Baal-Hanan, the son of Achbor, died, and Hadar reigned in his stead, the name of his city being Pau, his wife's name being Metabal, the daughter of Matred, the daughter of Mezahab. These are the names of the chiefs of Esau according to their families and their dwelling places, by their names, the chiefs Timnah, Alva, Jeheth, Oholibamah, Elah, Pinon, Kenaz, Teman, Mizbar, Magdiel, and Iram. These are the chiefs of Edom, that is Esau, the father of Edom, according to their dwelling place in the lands of their possession. My apologies for anyone whose name was mispronounced, but that's a good place to end. Thank you for joining me.